My name is Richard Smith. Rottie Squad Kennel is our program here in Shepherdsville, Kentucky. We always wanted one all our lives. My wife and I got one in 2017. It was our first one together. His name was Zeke, or Ezekiel. I don't know what really attracted me to the Rottweiler. I guess just their look growing up. I just always really liked them. The way they looked. Had a neighbor that had one a couple blocks away and was able to see him there walking by, heading to school and stuff. This really appealed to me. We mostly got shelter dogs all my life. We had a chow mix named Yogi and a Norwegian elk hound named Link. And those were ones that we kind of had together, my wife and I, as we started our relationship. As far as when it was coming time to, if we were going to go purchase one, we were looking at a Rottweiler. Fate kind of put us into that one. We got Zeke and got our new place here in Shepherdsville. About 7 months into having him, my wife had 2 strokes. And then that kind of flipped everything upside down for us. I was having to go to work and be gone, and she was having to work with Zeke. And basically, he became her motivation to get up and move. She really didn't want to do things, but he literally laid on her, licked her in the face, and then she'd take him out to pee and play with him, and they kind of bonded. That just kind of led to, I don't think we would be where we are today without him. Protective instincts they're instilled in the Rottweiler. They're I always tell people they're kind of like a happy-go-lucky family dog that'll be in your lap and everything until the knock at the door. Then you'll see the security part come out of a Rottie. Make sure they claim their territories and their families. They're just an all great breed. I think you can do anything with them as far as train them to do anything that you need to do or they need to do. A lot of times they choose their jobs for you. If you don't choose one for them, it could be as easy as they go pick up sticks all day for you and bring them to you, or they steal your socks, or whatever it could be. But they definitely need a job, and I like working with them. And it's one of those give and take relationships you get back with them. Rottweilers need all kinds of structure, and they need socialization key early. If they don't get that, they're going to be 100 pounds and knee high by 8 months before you know it. And then by then it could be too late for things that you instill them, whether it's good and bad. Everything in a whole starts with genetics. And then it's the temperament of the dog. It's the love and care, the training, the socialization you put into it. And then when you kind of get all that together, you kind of get the ultimate Rottie, so to speak. Get the full package. But it all starts with genetics and then all that together. And then the bonding is mainly, if you bond with your dog, then that's where you're gonna get the most reward for everything. Mm-hmm. Get that back. There was a time that we had Zeke and Maze were in the house, and our heat and air went out, and so persons are coming to fix it. And when they came in, they instantly were just sitting in mom's lap on top of her, protecting her from whoever was in the house. So that was and that's after we told them, gave them the all clear signal that everybody's good and everything, but they still weren't leaving her side. Have instances of when anybody shows up, I always know that somebody's here. Everybody goes off about a big male, be the first one, but I think with the female's instincts that, with having babies, they're on call more for security. Maze is the first one to let me know. She's out the window looking, and then everybody else joins in. They're really good with family. I don't think you get a better rounded dog. Like I said, it comes with the socialization. There's everything to go into it. But once we've got that down, it's just they're great with kids. You can teach them to do anything. The instincts for being a protector, they match children's energies really well. They're going to protect their family. I don't know one that doesn't. We've been real fortunate with our bloodlines and everything that with the dogs we've had, that they've had great temperaments and everything to do that. We start ours off with gentling techniques because it really starts with everything. By the time you were to get a puppy from us, we touch them from actually I'm opening sacks and cutting umbilical cords and there from day one. And the Rottweilers are dogs in general. They smell first. They don't see and hear for 2 weeks. So their first instinct is smell. So they're already smelling us from the beginning. And then we do gentling techniques to touch them from nose to butt, flip them upside down, put them in uncomfortable positions that, where they're not the alpha, touching their paws, making sure that we rub them. They're used to human contact. We expose them to different surfaces as linoleum and vinyl and hardwood floors, grass, artificial turf. Try to just get them experienced, and then each day is a new learning experience for like around 4 weeks. We let them go outside, so then they get to get in the grass and smell things, and then try to stimulate them each day for something new, and then they just retain everything. And then that's a big building block for the future for whoever takes them next. I leave TVs on. They like the Nature Channel. Some people, I always tease them and joke with them, like, if you get a puppy and, when you get one, we don't sugarcoat anything. It's going to cry for 3 days because its whole world's being flipped upside down when it leaves here. But there's familiar things you can do. A lot of times we like to make a toy from a blanket that the mother's had. So then there's a scent of the mom. So when they go home, they got a toy to take with them, trying to help that bonding. I always tell people that, where that puppy sleeps the first night is where it's going to expect to sleep the rest of its life. Its whole world's getting flipped up. So if that's in the crate, that's in the crate. If that's in your bed, that's your bed. If that's your couch, it's your couch. If it's the corner by your washer, it's the corner by your washer. But so a lot of people, they intend to do crate training and they end up giving in for the whining, and it ends up in their bed, and then it's a bed dog for the rest of its life. And then it takes over your couch and your heart and everything else. Usually you can find a male, they're going to go between 90 to 120 pounds. You get some ones that are thicker that you end up in that 130, but usually when you get past that, you're starting to have an overweight dog. Our females, you're usually looking between 70 and 90. We have a couple that are beyond that a little bit. As an Onyx, she's around a 95 usually. You're more thicker Rottweiler. So that's about what you expect for female and male Rotties. The males are more going to be the show-offish. They're gonna be they want to play, and they all want to play. So it's really hard to tell the difference. I'd say it's mainly the standoffish a little bit more. The females aren't really trying to strut their stuff. They're more laid back and see what you're doing. Males and females, they kind of feed off each other. I've seen them in both likes. I think a female's more protective just because of their instincts with having offspring. Well, that's where it started. That's where the Rottweiler was formed. I kind of like their look in the standard, and try to stick with the breed standard of a Rottweiler or close to it. Everybody has their different opinions of head types and body types and colors and all that kind of stuff. And I just kind of like the traditional look, so I like to stay with those. And then the ADRK, you're more proven on health lines and what you actually have in what you can see as far as their genetics. When you start dealing with AKC, you're then dealing whether or not somebody tested their dogs and through the OFA and doing all that stuff. They're stricter on the standard, but so are other countries. It's just my opinion on that. I can't knock somebody else because they got a Romanian Rottweiler and they do, if they're doing everything the right way, testing their dogs, and that's their passion and that's what they do. That's what it's all about. To me, when you get into a part to where you get people get like the head extremes and some ways going this way and some ways going that way, that's when I think that things need to get put into a different category. Doberman is a Rottweiler mixed with a bird dog, and then it became popular enough, it got its own category. Sometimes when somebody gets leaning away with a different head type, smaller snouts and stuff, that changes the way a Rottweiler is. It's basically, it can't take in enough oxygen because of a smaller snout. So then it's not getting enough oxygen to its muscles, and it hurts his ability to be a working dog and do and move the way it should. But then if you got enough followings and those people bred those dogs and they, put their heart and soul and bred everything to, as far as health standards, correct, I can't really knock them for that. That's their opinion of what there is. I just think at a certain point when you get to extreme that maybe that should be a different category. Even though you got two Rottweilers that are, 100% maybe German or whatever, Serbian or Romanian or whatever breed that you have that you're working with, that it could, if it gets popular enough, maybe it needs its own category. Part of our near future, our studs that we have currently, Ernest Von House Neuenbren is one of our current studs. We co-own Copper Ridge Kennel in Florida. Ernest is he's been producing well. I think he's reproduced himself in our boy Everett Bondersmith. He's a looks just like his dad. Um, got really good traits. We've seen it as far as our new girl, Memphis Jean. She's hit the ground running. She's a really nice bone structure on her, really good temperament and personality. Um, she's just now getting into the socialization phase where we need to get her out in public more often and work with her on that. But so far, she's been really great. So we like where he's going with his offspring for the future. We've done a couple breedings with him. Um, one with our Rory, that's where Memphis came from, and also our Emma and Everett, their first breeding. We bred him also with our Onyx Vonder out in Welt II. She's got really nice bloodlines and has produced well. We kept Sasha is an offspring between her and Ernest. Um, she's a promising new future of our kennel. I've just been really excited with the bloodlines that we've been blessed to have and work with in the community that's helped us in along the way. You start to breed and do things the right way, then you bump into people that do that also, and you'll find out it's a closed community with people with Rottweilers. Another stud that we have is Rudy. He's up and coming. He's 2 years old. He's getting to close to the fill out stage. He's from Rudy Von House, Neuenbrin III, one of opinionated, one of the top 5 Rottweilers in the world currently. Anything really bad to say about him? He's got a great temperament, great personality. Just waiting on him to thicken out a little bit. We currently bred him with Onyx, and we're waiting on his first litter to see how his puppies are going to produce. Inca is another one we co-own currently. She is Inca von Viatal from Germany. She's German import. Her dad is Haskell, and her mother is Bean von Viatal. She's been really great. Her temperament, she's really sweet. She reminds me so much of our girl Regine, which is the basis of most of our bloodline here. We bred her with Ernest, and she's currently pregnant, and we're waiting to see the outcome of what that's going to produce. Real excited for that. That's a basically 100% ADRK breeding here in here in the U.S. First litter with us. Her first breeding was with Vetus von Haus Neuenbrin, and then she had 2 males from that. That was a natural breeding, and from what I hear, that they've been great. Bailey is a litter mate to Rudy. She is a Rudy von Haus Neuenbrin III daughter. We're currently waiting on her status to see if she's pregnant. We bred her with Ernest. The mating's confirmed. Real excited to see. That's basically a Vetus and Rudy cross breeding. So I'm really interested to see how those puppies are going to turn out. It's really important to be a breeder, to be in contact with your clients, not only for when they get their puppies, but through the whole time, to help them out through anything, and then also to get input back on what you're producing, so you know what you're producing. A lot of times you're not going to know what your stud's doing until a decade down the road. In this business, you'll find out that, it started out with no contracts. Now we have contracts, and then certain things happen and the contracts get longer. One of the things I've had to put in the contract is basically at 6 months, a year, and 2 years, I need photos. And that's, most people, they're really wanting to show off their dog and they stay in contact, but others, people have different personalities and things they do, just to make sure that, I need some kind of feedback, that I get something back so we know what we're doing further down the road. And that always helps. And then the more communication we have with our clients past it is only better for what we do. Man, the most challenging thing for us is that we love them so much is letting them go. And then to make sure that they're actually going to a really good home, and being able to vet your people that they're going to, and just that they're not going to end out chained up in a yard somewhere or abused, or, that's, I think, the hardest thing about being a breeder is where your babies are going to go. What keeps us breeding, I guess it would be the Zeke situation. It's just one of those that what he did for us, even though he wasn't the dog you went out and got. He was the epitome of, I should have done my research and went and got find a suitable breeder and follow the guidelines and do all that. But at the time, we weren't knowledgeable in that. And in turn, God gave us a gift. And we ended up naming him Ezekiel, and then I ended up looking up his name, means strength of God. You know, Ezekiel was a prophet, and I think that's what was given to us. And if I can pass that on to somebody else for them getting a puppy, then, you know, that's what it's all about. No, there is no day offs. It's a farm. It's up in the morning. It's if you do things correctly and you do it for the love of the dog and everything, that, yeah. No, it's one of those things you don't do for the money. If you're doing it for the money, you're in for the wrong reasons. And definitely you could see that shows quick when I'm just talking to anybody. And that's what I always recommend to people. Like, if you don't get a dog from me, you're not, you know, I just want you to be better prepared for when you go out and get one. So it's like, do your homework, make sure you check in on JLPP, hips and elbows, for dysplasia. The further you go back in the pedigree, the better you have chances for the offspring. And that's just the start. You know, there's all kinds of other hidden recessive genes that dogs may or may not have. And the more you dive into that, the more you learn about stuff. And then, you know, if you don't get one from me and then you avoided a JLPP situation and a heartache, then you were better off. Mm-hmm. And then it's better off for the breed in a whole. Because then if people stop going to, you know, backyard breeders and people that don't test their dogs and then put out this kind of chaos, so to speak, that it's avoid people from having heartaches. We do our hips and elbows for the ADRK in Germany, and then we do the JLPP for the OFA. Usually, my dogs are checked by, we have 6 different vets depending on, we have our primary that we go to where they listen to their hearts and do all that and check their eyes. So they're having other medical checks done, but I necessarily don't go and get them tested because my vet's already done that. And that's another thing, is that we always take we don't do shots ourselves. We could avoid costs and do that stuff ourselves, but I'd rather that a vet look at them and then that they're actually getting medically cleared, because I'm not a doctor. They get paid for that, went to school to be that. And I really trust our vets that we use. An overall goal, I guess, would be to just produce one of the best Rotties you can get. And I mean, as far as temperament to what it's going to do for you, how it's going to change. We call them life changers because that's what they do. Everyone we've had has changed our lives in so many ways. More ways than one. Not just, like I said, if you're in it for the money, you're in it the wrong reasons. This is basically a trade-off to do something you love and then to help other people. And it's just, it's been great. And it's got its ups and downs with anything. So, but that's life. One of my favorite sayings is, life is what happens while busy making other plans. And it's so true for the good and bad. So either way it goes, because you can get caught up in the moment. You know, you want to do this and you set out to do this, and then life throws you this curveball, and then don't miss what happened in between. One of my favorite sayings I've ever heard was, there's 2 dates on a tombstone. Make the most out of the dash. They can contact us at our number at 502-230-7455. You can find us at www.rottiesquad.com. That's ROTTIESQUAD.com. At the bottom of the tab is all our social media links to Twitter and Facebook, and I guess they call it X now, and TikTok. I think the best care you're going to get from a hands-on puppy to somebody, I mean, it's always better bloodlines and better places and things like that, but I just think the hands down, the quality you're going to get, the love and care that we give these dogs, that you're not going to match anywhere else.